Lying on the west coast of India, Mumbai is India's most populous city and financial capital. It is a place where teeming masses flock here to live and work, a city of entrepreneurs, home to the thriving Bollywood film industry. Its inhabitants are a mixture of great wealth and abject poverty, swept into the endless maelstrom of activity. This was my first time in India ever, and I decided to spend 2 weeks digging into the life of one of Mumbai's most infamous districts and learn more about the fascinating world of Dharavi, the world's biggest slum. Dharavi is for Westerners a cliché of Indian misery, but I want to unfold its rhythm life, its stark reality. This labyrinthine slum extends for about 3 square kilometers, and it is occupied by as many as 1 million slum dwellers. Here streets smell of rubbish and sweat, children grow up early, diarrhea and malaria are common, and tuberculosis floats in the air. Dharavi lacks in everything from drinking water to basic sewage. Most of the economy here is based on getting enough money from the little things they have. Plastic, for example, is one of Dharavi's most lucrative businesses. Many organizations operate in Dharavi to help people to process and recycle waste. One of these organizations is the Acorn Foundation. I was looking forward to starting to investigate on the projects currently undertaken in what is defined as the invisible area of the city. And I was particularly interested in learning more about the role of Acorn in Dharavi. So on my first day in this megacity, I went to meet Vinod Shetty, the founder of Acorn Foundation India. Acorn Foundation is a social association which operates with and for Dharavi citizens in order to give them their basic rights. I asked Vinod why and how Acorn was born.
It was basically born out of necessity, seeing the plastic in the city and the way the city consumes plastic. I got the feeling that there is no agency which is able to deal with this kind of waste, and it was only the rag pickers and the waste collectors who were actually doing this job. So I thought, as part of a privileged society, and this whole section is made of invisible workers, people who have no identity, people who have no faces, and this beautiful city of Mumbai is enjoying their services without paying for it. So I thought it's high time somebody spoke for them, somebody did something for them.
Dharavi citizens, forgotten by the government of India and buried in silence, rely on a daily wage which is rarely above the 100 rupees per day, less than £1.20.
Indian government is only there by default. The great democracy which you see is actually working only for the rich and powerful.
To carry out effective work in the harsh reality of Dharavi, Acorn employs local people who help running the organization from inside the slum. Vinod talked to me about a woman whose role is crucial in the foundation. Her name is Lakshmi Kamble. Today I'm here to meet Lakshmi Kamble. She's a single mother of 2 children and a second-generation rag picker. Since 2008, Lakshmi joined Acorn Foundation and has been working since then as a chief coordinator for the plastic industry. Today I'm going to her house and listen to her story. And their story is one of the 1,000 you will listen to in Dharavi, one of those you will never forget. She lives here, just in this little lane. There is no light, as you can see. There is water everywhere. Come. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you. This 3 square meters house is home of about 9 people. Space economy is vital to fit in a toilet, a kitchen, cookware, and even a religious corner. Sitting on the only bed in the house in front of a cup of tea, Lakshmi told me about her past and about when she decided to join Acorn to provide her daughters a better lifestyle.
I joined the Acorn Foundation in 2008.
Why did you join them? How did you find them?
Before that, I used to work in the plastic recycling industry. There was a problem I faced back then. My clothes were always very dirty when I used to work there. At the time, my daughter used to go to school, and her classmates would offend her because of me.
When Lakshmi used to work in the plastic factory, it was a shame on every member of her family. One day her daughter came back from school and told Lakshmi that her classmate had insulted her because her mother was dirtying her clothes in the industry. Recycling is perceived as a job for men, not for women. As working was necessity for Lakshmi, she decided to appeal to the founder of Acorn Foundation.
Back in 2008, when Acorn was founded, I thought to explain my problem to its founder. I started working with Acorn for workers' rights, and I became chief coordinator for the plastic industry.
What do you think are the reasons why the government of India doesn't recognize the rag pickers as green collars and doesn't give them any right?
Only the government can answer that question. Acorn Foundation is working for the basic rights of these people, most importantly for them to be recognised as green collars by the government. A lot has been accomplished by Acorn. Previously, people didn't have any ration cards, and Acorn has helped them to get one. People didn't have any proof of ID, and Acorn has helped to get unique ID and to open a bank account. But who is going to explain all of this to the government? If we would say this, they would answer that the government can't afford to employ all these people. But if people in Dharavi stop working in recycling, there would be so much rubbish. No one will stop using or throwing away plastic. No one recycles but us in Dharavi.
Dharavi Rock School for Music and Arts. That is the project which we are working on.
The Dharavi Rocks music is the sound of junk made by Dharavi's rag-picking children. The band brings together about 20 youngsters with a difficult past. It is in a tiny shanty room in the heart of the slum that plastic drums, paint cans, buckets become percussions. How do you make them?
It's a water. It's a holding of waters. This,
right.
And we will color it, and we will use it for drums.
It's around 1 year that I have been in Dharavi Rocks. Music is very important for me. I wish it should be my career because I love it, I like it, and everything is my music only. Yeah, that's it.
The idea is to involve a lot of schools in Dharavi, start a movement for music and arts to go into people's lives.
Let's see what happens. Does anybody gives us chance for make our career? Or I just rap for social causes and for me, what I do and how we represent the Dharavi.
Music and art acts as a therapy, is a huge educational tool for society.
And from fighting poverty and restoring dignity, Acorn Foundation works also close to the youngest. One of the community's greatest challenges is education. Illiteracy is one of the biggest threats in Dharavi, alongside with child labor. Acorn helps in educating children from the slum, hiring a school classroom for evening classes. In this college class in the suburbs of Dharavi, children aged from 3 to 14 learn together. A young teacher takes care of the little ones while Lakshmi makes sure they receive a strict education and they prepare to pass their next exam. Some of the kids come to school after they finish work at the plastic recycling units.
Our purpose is to teach English to all of them. After the 10th grade, they have compulsory English classes. Wherever they go after school, they need to know how to speak English, even to get a good job. So we start training them from now, in order to get them well prepared for the future.
What is important, I would see, is not the kind of scale, but the quality of the work and the kids and the people who have come into the foundation.
After a week sneaking in the claustrophobic lanes of Dharavi, I was welcomed in the plastic neighborhood, where the actual factories are located. During my tour, I realized that Akron is not alone in the fight for these invisible citizens. I was introduced to Mr. Tanwar, the General Secretary of APRA, the All Plastic Recyclers Association. APRA is a growing body supported by over 700 people who have recently been able to start a conversation with the Indian government to improve this whole area. APRA Foundation has been operating since 2013 in this area, and in 2016 the foundation has submitted a new proposal to the Indian government in order to get 600 acres for the redevelopment of this area. Ariram Tanwar is an activist and a university lecturer in Mumbai and Southeast Asia. In his house, walls are patched with magazine and newspaper articles in which Mr. Tanwar has been featured in the last 20 years. I spent 2 days with him to learn about the plastic recycling process.
When we buy the plastics, the rooms we have get full quickly, so we are very limited in the amount of plastic we can buy to recycle. Because of that, we need to separate the plastic daily because we can't store it.
So what these guys are doing here now, they are separating the plastic by color and by kind of plastic. So here we have all the red plastics, while here we have all the white plastics. By the end of today, in the 12-hour shift, they have to finish all the amount of plastic that you can see down there. And tomorrow morning, this room will be full of plastic again.
This means that we can't buy a bigger quantity and our profit can't increase. In APRA, we requested to the government to create a separate area which we want to be our plastic zone.
Employees of these factories sleep, eat and work under a cloak of toxic substances. Mr. Babubai is telling me that from the smoke caused by burning this piece of plastic, they can recognize what kind of plastic it is. Workers separate, cut and grind an average of almost 80 tons of plastic per day, which represent the 66% of the whole plastic generated daily by the 20 million people living in Mumbai. This kind of plastic is called ABS and it comes from a company outside Dharavi. They take this material that comes already in this status you're seeing here, they cut it and then they grind it and then they send it back to the big company outside the slums. Mr. Tanwar told me that even though the government doesn't recognize them as social workers, it asks them to pay taxes on what they earn by selling material to companies outside Dharavi.
One of my last proposals is to reduce taxes paid by the recycler. We make gold out of raw material, we convert waste to sellable plastic. In a way, we help the government. From rag pickers to shop pickers, from the plastic collection to the industry, all is made by APRA.
From the bottom of the pyramid to the top, mostly everyone in Dharavi expects the Indian government to act in the interest of Dharavi citizens. During my journey, I met the owner of over the 40% of Dharavi's plastic businesses. His name is Sheikh Mubin. Mubin has spent his whole life in Dharavi, but he doesn't consider himself to be a slum dweller. Much of his critique is already familiar to the government.
The government has failed in this front. They do lot of things, they do lot of concern in advertisement and other things. But the things where they have to approach is they are not approaching. Millions of people throughout India who are doing recycling of plastic and other wastes also. But the government does not have any kind of mechanism to govern them, to have a statistical data of them. Everyone is out of the system. It is my request to the government to take these type of people on the system.
There have been some big and smaller entrepreneurs investing the money, ready to invest their money in Dharavi, but they have not been successful because people are not happy with that. So what do exactly the population of Dharavi wants the government to do?
That I'm not aware of what type of investment people want to do. That people are for Dharavi development project, people will take initiative only when the law is lenient for eligibility, and the people living in Dharavi, they are taken into full confidence that they will not be made uneligible. Before any kind of demolition or removal of the hut, people should be made 100% eligible. This should be worked upon to make a smooth way for development.
Mubin talked about eligibility criteria to be met before action, but which ones? He has not said. Moving further north of Dharavi, the air gets dense and the smoke blurs my vision as I enter the Kumbarawa district, famous for being the biggest pottery area of the city. A walk through Kumbarawa feels like a trek into time in a traditional village of India. In this 100-year-old district live about 3,000 families of potters who run the business. The whole pottery area occupies about 600 square feet. In this neighborhood, most of the businesses are illegal and people are reluctant in giving access to outsiders. But for one afternoon, I was invited by the Singhadiya family to experience the pottery making. I think they might be upstairs. Hello, there is anyone there? Hi. Here. The Singhadiya people run just one of the few licensed factories since 3 generations. Here houses are made of bricks and cement walls. They are too small to host people and pottery, but for the lack of space in the area, shanties have been growing vertically. The problem is that I can't see anything because my eyes are just full of smoke. There are no windows or doors, the air is unbreathable, and the manufacturing process is carried out on a loft built overhead and reachable by vertiginous stairs.
We buy mud and bring it home. We put it in a hole and drench it in water. Then we add some chemicals to it so it doesn't break under the sun, and we make sure the clay is ready to be worked. There are many products that are made using the pottery clay, and it involves a lot of hard work. To dry the pots, we keep them in the sun when the sun is out. We then have a separate area for the fire. We put the pottery on the fire and cook it at 9 in the morning, and it gets ready by about 9 p.m.
This behind me is a fornax. At the bottom of it, there are cotton cloths that have been lighted up on a fire. Above it, there are blankets made of cotton that are going to produce a lot of smoke to dry the pottery. This is just up there.
We uncover the furnace the day after, take out the pottery and try to sell it to our customers. Our pottery is sold all over the world.
All over the world.
We don't export, we sell it to local shops. The shops that have a trade license actually export the pottery outside of India. We decorate them sometimes, paint them in the house, but not all of them. It is totally based on the demand and how the customer wants it.
Almost everything imaginable is made in Dharavi. In this place, dominated by logical rules and lifestyle, misery and political issues don't stop people from trying to get ahead. Dharavi citizens showcase their skill of boosting a number of second-scale businesses. Self-made economy in Dharavi worth an estimated turnover of over £490 million per year. In the last 12 years, the estimated capital deemed to be invested in the redevelopment plans amount to £6 billion. During my 2 weeks in Dharavi, I understood 2 reasons that make people want to stay or move into Dharavi. The certainty of finding a job and the fact that there is no risk that they are going to be evicted. The history of Mumbai and Dharavi is the story of capitalism and globalization. What I think this story reveals are both the worst and the best elements of humanity. It made me think about the concept of misery. This is misery for whom? For me? For you? What appears to outsiders as the hellish version of the world is just normal reality for those people. Can we judge someone miserable just because we don't watch the world from the same perspective? It is clear that no one should work under these circumstances, but it's even clearer that the response to these dramatic conditions is equally humbling and moving, and this gives me a sense of hope.